Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception, ISKCON of Bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. Purport. In the proper discharge of duty, one has to learn to tolerate non-permanent appearances and disappearances of happiness and distress. According to Vedic injunction, one has to take his bath early in the morning, even during the month of Magha, January and February. It is very cold at that time, but in spite of that, a man who abides by the religious principles does not hesitate to take his bath. Similarly, a woman does not hesitate to cook in kitchen in the months of May and June. The hottest part of summer season, one has to execute his duty in spite of climatic inconveniences. Similarly, to fight is a religious principle of the Kshatriyas. And although one has to fight with some friend or relative, one should not deviate from his prescribed duty. One has to follow one has to follow the prescribed rules and regulations of religious principles in order to rise up to the platform of knowledge. Because by knowledge and devotion only can one liberate himself from the clutches of Maya illusion. Let me read this now. One has to follow the prescribed rules and regulations of religious principles in order to rise up to the platform of knowledge. Because by knowledge and devotion only can one liberate himself from the clutches of Maya. Because by knowledge and devotion only one can liberate himself from the clutches of Maya. The two different names of address given to Arjuna are also significant. To address him as Kaunteya signifies his great blood relation from his mother's side, and to address him as Bharata signifies his greatness from his father's side. From both sides, he is supposed to have great heritage. A great heritage brings responsibility in the matter of proper discharge of duties. Therefore, he cannot avoid fighting. त्वमज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा शिवसदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणीम्। हरे कृष्ण। Yesterday we left the conversation on eternity, and today's shloka is actually an add-on to that. Now, how is it? How is it an add-on to that? And how can we perceive or really understand what this eternity is? So, dear devotees, whatever we think in this world, or whatever we understand, for example, if a person is moving or traveling, he does it for a reason. For example, if a child recently 10th class exams results came. After the 10th class, what do? They go to intermediate, 11 and 11th. That means they move on to the next place. Now, why are they moving on? To educate themselves. Now, after that, what do? They do either engineering or medicine or commerce or finance, some whatever stream they are suitable to, they take that. After that, they get a job, they get settled. That means if you see every action which we do, there's a reason for that. If there's a reason in this life, since we are born up until today, everything happened for a reason. Everything happened for some kind of, not some kind of, it's factually things are shaping up. The moment the child is born, the child will not walk. He will walk when he's like 10 months, 9 months, 1 year. Slowly, slowly, they begin to walk. Before walking, he would crawl. Before crawling, he would sit on the river side. So what is he doing? Initially, he took the shelter of four, his hands and legs to crawl. Later, he is not taking the shelter of his hands because his legs become more strong. And after that, his legs become very strong that he will also run. And he will use his hands for doing activities. All of those things didn't manifest right since he was born. There's a step-by-step process. After 10, they go to intermediate. After intermediate, they go to engineering or medicine. It's an evolution. Don't we see a great engineering run which is running behind us? That means every person is designed, it's like a machine. This body is a machine. And then the same body, it grows. And then it creates offsprings. And then it begins to dwindle. It begins to weak. Eventually it dwindle and then leave. Now to the point of eternity, in this particular body, we have done some activities. Or when we get another body, we do another activity. Or when we get another body, we do another activity. Because none of these activities were done through our so-called intelligence or through our own so-called wisdom. We've been kept in that state, we crawled. We've been kept in that state, we turned back. We've been kept in that state, we began to walk. We've been kept in that state, we began to run. No, some children, they cannot do that because they have problems in the hands or in the legs. That means we've been given that state. I have been given that state. You have been given that state. Everyone else is given that state. So we understand that. That means everything has been given to that. Just like this, the principle of eternity, that is also given to us. Now, why the principle of eternity is given to us? Now, what did we do? Now, what did Prahlad Maharaj did so that Narsingadeva came? Did he lifted big, big mountains so that Narsingadeva came? Or did he gave or he changed his entire world to Krishna conscious? Is that the reason why Narsingadeva came? That means there's a reason for everything. That means the Lord is not expecting all of these from us. He's expecting what is required to give that eternity. Please understand. Now, one of the core principles or to come in that state is what we are discussing today. Matra sparsha tu kaunteya sita ushna sukha dukkha. That means this happiness and distress, they come and go. No, one person will appreciate you, other person will put you down. For that appreciation, for that appreciation, we shouldn't be puffed up. Or for the person who is putting us down, we cannot see him like he's our enemy. That means both has to be taken equally. Now, this is a sign of eternity. Please understand. Now, does that mean that in the spiritual world we have those things? No, in the spiritual world we don't have those things. Like pulling other person's leg, putting him down, having envious feelings. We don't have any of those things in the spiritual world. In the material world, we have that. Likewise, the conception which the Lord is giving is actually the conception of this world. That means in this world we should behave like that. So that means when we develop good qualities, what happens is we take everything on an equal plane. So when we begin doing that, what is happening is you're not that. See, if a person is putting us down, means dear devotees, that's not our problem actually. He's going through a difficult state. Please understand. If I react, that's my problem. Rather, we should respond in a way which we are supposed to do. That is good for us. This is what Krishna is pleased. Please understand. We should know why and how Krishna is also pleased. No, that is the whole point. Now, why we are discussing Gita? We want to please them. They are my go-to. They are my shelter. Please understand this. If they are not our go-to and if they are not our shelter, that means if we don't feel connected to that, we cannot do that. Please understand. Oh, what is this eternity? If you see in the spiritual world, Mother Yashoda and all her friends, what are they doing? At every moment, they are trying to satisfy Krishna. They are thinking about him. Now, why a person is thinking about another person? Now, can that be done eternally? If that is done eternally, then what we should develop? What kind of consciousness we should develop? For example, if I don't see, let's say if let's say when you're 22 or 20, you went to US. That's the first time. After you completed your engineering, 21, 22, you went to US for doing masters. That's the first time you're away from your parents. Now, let's say when you're cooking something at home, if you have a relationship with your parents, don't you remember them? Don't you remember like how your mother was preparing the food stuff? And then how you are doing it now? Don't we don't we miss them? That's natural. Please understand, in this life only, we got connected to them. But we have a connection, a relation with them. I cannot deny that I do not have a relationship with my parents. Can we deny that? Is it a fact? I cannot deny because I do have a relation. Now the relationship might be pertaining to this body, but definitely I have a relationship with them. Now through that relationship only you are remembering them. Please understand, this is very important. Through that relation only we are remembering them. So when you're far away from them, actually remember them. When you think about them, you think about their well-being. You're not remembering through enviousness, but you're remembering through loving relationship. Please understand. When we understand that, when we perceive that, please, please think about this. When you understand something in your life, or when you perceive the truth, there are two ways to do it. It can be anything. It's not like, oh, this is the only way, or this is the only way. For example, the same example which we are taking here, I said the child has envious feelings towards his parents. Now he would go far away, he will remember them also at that moment. But his remembering now is in a different state. Please understand. Because through enmity, he is also remembering them and cursing them. But the other child who has good relation, what is he doing? He is messing them. He is feeling separation to them. No, Mother Yashoda and her associates, they are in the spiritual world. Please understand. Mother Yashoda and her associates, they are where? They are in the spiritual world. Those personalities, as they are in the spiritual world, what are they doing? They are thinking about the Lord. Now, what that kind of thinking is? Pure love, intensified love. What is it? How is that love coming? The love is coming because that love is devoid of all these things. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Vatsara, they're completely vanquished. There is no solace to that. Please understand. That means there is no space to that. When there is love, these things are not there. When these things are there, love is not there. That separation is too far, you cannot even perceive. Currently, due to anarthas, sadhaka cannot perceive what is this separation. How the Brijavasis, they're in deep separation. How Srila Prabhupada was in deep separation with his spiritual master and his instructions and his relation. We cannot understand. Why? Because when the sadhaka has these things invoked in one's consciousness, the anarthas, lust, greed, anger, envy, false ego, pride, when these things are there, then what happens? The other elements will not be, cannot be perceived. Because these will stop that. Now, when the eternity, when we are thinking about the word eternity, we should understand eternity is that kind of a thing. You do it continuously without obstruction. Now, to do something continuously without obstruction means you have to feel so much relationship. Cannot be done with jnana. Please understand. Cannot be done with dhyana, meditation. Cannot be done with karma, work. Can only be done through devotion. Chapter 12 of Gita is the devotional service. The 20 shlokas gives the essence of everything. Because it speaks about pure devotional service. This is like a jewel of the entire scripture which Krishna has spoken. Now I can say, oh Prabhu, आप भक्ति करते हैं इसलिए उसके ऊपर focus करते हैं. You say you are doing devotion, that's why you are focusing on the chapter 12. But if one does devotion, the karma which is there as part of chapter 3, karma yoga, now that karma yoga, when you begin doing through that devotion to that person, to the spiritual master, to the Lord, when we begin doing it, what happens is this karma is no longer a karma. That becomes bhakti. And you remember about that. Oh, I did, just like a mother is telling to the child, you know, when he was sick or in the winter, I did this sweater. That was very helpful for him. I spent a lot of hours in weaving that sweater to my child. And she remembered that's an action. That's a karma. She did it for her son. Likewise, an action, and we begin doing it for the pleasure of spiritual master and the Lord, what happens is that is no longer an action. That action becomes devotion. So what is this eternity? In the spiritual world, they are doing, there seems to be, Mother Yashoda seems to be churning butter, or she seems to be washing something, or she seems to be doing cooking. But she has unlimited devotion towards the Lord. What is that happening? That is happening, or that is giving us an understanding of pure devotion, because they're simply doing it for the pleasure of the Lord. Now, if you begin to think about this further, if you are doing something for one's pleasure, can that be done continuously? This is the whole point of discussion, right? For example, we hear the class, and then after that, our actions and activities, Prabhupada's message also is shared in the group today. It's very instrumental. He said, continuously one should be engaged. Everything which he is doing, his mind, body, intelligence should be completely engrossed, and he should simply do it for the pleasure of the Lord, not in separation of anything else. That means every action should be done for his pleasure. Please understand this. Every action. That means the mind should not be idle. So what is this? This is also an indication to that eternity. Exactly. Please understand, it's a beautiful correlation. Yesterday we brought up this aspect, and then today Srila Prabhupada is giving that same message of eternity. That means what one should do? Continuously aspire to be engaged. Just like the Brijavasis, they are continuously engaged, just like pure souls, they're continuously engaged, just like Srila Prabhupada, just like his wonderful followers, they're continuously engaged. In what? They are engaged in pleasing the spiritual master and Krishna. That is their life and soul. They might be cooking, they might be sleeping, they might be doing some service, they might be chanting, they might be hearing, they might be reading, they might be doing a service for the spiritual master. Everything is for their pleasure. That means his actions and activities are continuous. That means he is not wavering his consciousness, rather is absorbing in consciousness and where he has to be absorbed. Now, when we begin doing that, what is happening is slowly the relationship with those personalities are intensified. Now, what happens when the relationship with those personalities are intensified? Slowly, the habits become a character. That means that will happen naturally in your life. That means naturally you'll get up, naturally you'll chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram. Through that chanting, you are doing what? You are remembering them. You're remembering Srila Prabhupada. You're remembering the Lord. You're remembering his pure followers. You're actually indebted. You're grateful to their presence in our life. That means those values which they are giving us, we are reciprocating by remembering them. Just like Prahlad Maharaj was reciprocating. Because the Lord, he gave a boon to Prahlad Maharaj that wherever you see, you'll see me. Wherever you go, you'll see me. Whatever you think, I'll be in that thought. Wherever you go, I'll be in that. That is the state of consciousness which the Lord gave him as a gift. Now, what is he doing to that? He's thinking more. He's seeing, he's thinking more. He's not seeing, he's thinking more about how that person is not being shown. That means what is happening? He's intensified. The presence of the Lord intensified him. Through that intensification, what is happening? The relationship is developed on a deeper level. This is how The principle of eternity is actually applied through one's consciousness. But for this to happen, first and foremost thing should happen is we should be free from these anarthas. Otherwise, a person is not free from anarthas, he cannot superficially think about this eternity. No, cannot do that. Because it's like, I don't know how to drive the car. I just heard a lesson, theory lesson, that this is the clutch, this is the gear, this is the accelerator, this is the brake, this is the steering. This is how you should see. This is how when you're turning, when you're taking a turn to the right, you should see to the right. See that there is nobody. Then you go. Then you pass through that. That means what is happening? You learned, but you don't know how to do it. If I gave the car, if somebody gave the car to me, can I drive? I cannot. I know only theory. I don't know how to operate that in practical. Likewise, the principles of eternalism, the principles of eternity is there. You're a powerful soul. You have that. Eternity is there. Eternity, Satchit Ananda. And Sat is what? Eternity, which is you. You means not you, the person. Not a person, Subal Gopal Prabhu. Or not person, Sushil Pama. Or not person, Sanya Mataji or Sunita Mataji. Not the person. Not the name. Not talking about the names. Discussing about the person who's there within those names. Because that person who is there within, that person is eternal. That means our actions in this world or spending time in this world, if those actions and spending time in this world is not helping to understand that eternity, is not realizing, is not allowing us to realize that eternity, then the actions and activities which we do has no meaning or value. Dharma kshanashita pumsam muktapshena katasva. Notpadayatedam shama kevalam. That means our prescribed duties, if those prescribed duties is not allowing us to understand this eternity through Shravana and Kirtana, then that prescribed duties has no meaning. That means one should really have time to think about this. One should really have time to chant once rounds, 16 rounds. One should have time for that. One should have time to hear. One should have time to read. One should have time to do his prescribed duties on top of that. And the prescribed duties should all be done. The prescribed duties should be done, will be done for the pleasure of the Lord only when our Shravana Kirtana is correctly done. If the Shravana Kirtana is not correctly done, we will not get an understanding that this prescribed duty is meant for them. That this prescribed duty is for their happiness. We will never get that, we will never get that understanding. We feel that I am so much great. I am great, that's why I got this opportunity. Oh, that's a blunder mistake actually. We are nothing actually. We are insignificant part and parcel of the Lord. Which that insignificance has a conception. 1 second. So those things have to be understood. If those things were not understood, then we cannot realize this. It's very important. Now, we should perceive this more. We should understand this science more. Please understand this. To even think about this eternity, one should change one's consciousness so much. For that, one of the examples has been given in this shloka is Matra Sparsha Sukante Shita Ushna Sukadakala. Agamam Painam Nityam Tantita Susavarta. A sober person is not bewildered by the changes, so-called changes of this world, because he is not this. You are not Sunit, you are not Neela Govinda Das, you are not Sushilpa Mata, you are not Sunita Amma, you are not Sandhya Mata. You are a deep, powerful spirit soul which is there in this particular world. We are not this body. For some person is telling, or you are fool number one, that's okay. That's okay. Yes, I am fool number one. What is the problem? Can I serve you? What way I can serve you? Let me serve you in that way. No doubt I'm a fool number one. That's okay. I'll accept that. Because they're telling me as a fool number one. If I have to correct, I'll correct. But if they're telling out of ignorance, we say, okay, thank you. That's for our purification and then move forward. That means what are you doing? A rejection. What are you doing? A rejection. You're not worried because you understand who you are. You're eternal, Prabhu. You there. We are there continuously. This particular we might have problem with our wife. This particular we might have problem with our husband. That is through our past karma. That is why it is coming. So we have to accept that, and then we have to think about the higher things. That means this life is just one. This is just like one drop in an ocean. In an ocean, how many drops we have? Unlimited. We don't know. So this life is like a drop in that ocean. Now you understand who we are. Now this jiva, who's just like this body, just like a drop. Through this body, the soul is trying to understand its natural state. By the mercy of the acharyas, we have an opportunity to even think about that. To think about that natural state. Please understand this deeply. Very, very important. Just this drop. That means there's a problem coming with this person, that person. We understand. This is just a drop. The problem will go away. It will stay for some time so that it will go away. This problem doesn't exist continuously. Please understand this data. When you understand this, the so-called this duty, that duty which we are doing, we'll understand what those things are. Let's say a person is a CEO of a company. Actually, to maintain his life, person doesn't need to become a CEO of the company. Hiranyakashipu became the proprietor of this entire world. Everyone is afraid of him. He doesn't have to do that. He can lead a simple life. But he wants to do that. The desire is deep. Now, through those desires, the eternity is intensified more. See, Mother Yashoda's desire to do a service to the Lord, or a pure devotee's desire to do service to the spiritual master and the Lord is more. It intensifies more and more. It is not like that on a daily basis. It is continuously evolving. Please understand this, dear devotees. Continuously evolving. The process is continuously evolving because they are in that they are on that eternal plane. I remember I can see that through the presence of I can see through the consciousness of my fifth master. His consciousness is continuously evolving. What he said tomorrow will be something more deeper. Day after tomorrow, something more deeper. His classes are also like that. Today he'll tell one thing. Tomorrow it will be in a more deeper level. Tomorrow, day after tomorrow, it will be more deeper level. Arey, this is what we need to change. Arey, this is what I need to update. Arey, this is what I should do. This is what I should do. Oh, the service should be like this. Oh, my consciousness should be like this. Oh, chanting should be like this. Hearing should be like this. Oh, this is how we should do. That means what is happening continuously, the absorption in the science of Krishna consciousness, what is it doing? It is taking us up from a plane from non-eternity to eternity. Non-eternity of body, thinking about this body. That body also they think continuously, but they don't know this body is fading. They're thinking that this body, just they about this. Why do we think about this body? Because we think that we are this. वही problem है. We are perceiving that we are this only. Now, in a relationship, when we hear from the Lord and His associates, when we have that faith on their words, then when they say we are not this, the moment we begin coming out of this state, that itself will give you happiness. That is a proof to show you that you are eternal. Because when you hear sincerely, your soul is satisfied. I'm for sure confident on that. When you hear sincerely, not this body cannot satisfy, you cannot satisfy this body, but the soul which is there within this body, the consciousness, that will be satisfied. I know this is how these personalities, they do continuous Shravana Kirtan, they do continuous services. Why this is on the eternal plane? I say so many devotees like that, they are in that state only. But 24 hours they are engaged. Krishna consciousness is that only. Very important. For this, we need to understand and move forward. Hare Krishna. If this understanding is not there, then it's difficult. That's why I remember my spiritual master tells us this is very, very, very important. What that is if you do something, you should do it naturally. When you do it naturally, that is on the eternal plane. That is not on this plane. Because that is in the internal energy. It's not the external. External energy means temporary. Internal energy means permanent. External energy is non-eternal. Internal energy is eternal. The kshara, it can stay in the external energy, it can stay in the internal energy. But that relationship, when the relationship is intense, somebody will never come back to this impermanent state. It continuously stays in that eternal state. That is what Srila Prabhupada wanted to give us. Actually, this Shara is gone case actually. We, the Jiva, who are in this state, we are gone case actually. But the exalted Vaishnava Acharyas, the sincere followers, they come into our life and then they give us what? They're transforming us from Kshara to Akshara. That means impermanent to permanent, non-eternal to eternal. And when we begin thinking about this data developers, you know how much we're indebted to them? I have no idea actually. Cannot understand. With this mode, we should go to Angalarti. With this consciousness, we should sit in the class. Hare Krishna. I think I'll stop here. I have another service. Anyone would like to add quickly? Otherwise, we'll stop it here. Thank you all very much. If my words caused an inconvenience, please excuse me. Thank you, Amma, for bringing that aspect of eternity. I hope this gave you further clarity. And this is important. You should think about this. This is what we should do. Internal churning has to happen. Just like you work on this .NET or Java, so many other things. You think about that. Begin thinking about Krishna consciousness. The moment you think, your consciousness is purified. This platform is there for us, for that only, to purify one's consciousness. When the consciousness is purified, you can do services. Then when you give money to the service of the acharyas, then you will be joyful doing it. But if the consciousness is not corrected, it doesn't make sense to even ask that or do any service. It doesn't make sense. The consciousness has to be evolved. Currently, we are connected to these things. That's why it becomes difficult to do anything. But we're connected on that eternal plane. Then these things, you do it naturally. Bhakti means a natural process. It's not an unnatural thing. Just like a mother feeding the child, She's really feeding her breast milk. She's really feeding. She's not bluffing anyone. She's really very happy feeding that milk. All the mothers, they have this experience. They're really happy. That's her energy is going out actually. What is that giving milk? What does that mean? Energy is going out. Is she joyful? Yes, she is very joyful. When the burp comes from the child, oh, she feels, oh, my child, he happily accepted milk. He's burping also. It's natural. Bhakti is that only. That means we don't think too much about ourselves. Rather we think about them. Hare Krishna. That's how eternity comes. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada Maharaj ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisance. Can you hear me, Prabhuji?
Yes, Amma.
Okay, thank you so very much, Prabhu. Prabhu, your classes also are going deeper and deeper every day. You also give us a beautiful message. Prabhu, thank you so very much for the topic for clarification on eternity. It will be only when connected to the Supreme Lord through the acharyas, through the words of the acharyas. So yeah, it's I have to meditate on what you said today. That way, you know. But I always think, Prabhu, like eating healthy. Uh, the teacher says eat healthy. They
Good,
wouldn't
that
say,
is good.
yeah. So eating healthy, if we just eat healthy just because the teacher said that weight loss, that BP, sugar, whatever it is, those are all automatically resolved, right? They are natural.
Correct.
I don't have to, focus too much on do this exercise, that exercise to do weight loss and so forth. Similarly, Shravana, if I just hear from the bona fide spiritual master Shravana, automatically it's all natural. This eternity also will get that realization. All those anarthas will be slowly dissipated. When we try to meditate on it, slowly, without us knowing itself, all that pride and all, we can clearly see also them going. But for that eternal state of anarthas going away, irrespective of the situation, we have to continuously hear and chant, and that chanting, interest of chanting also will come from hearing only. Right, Prabhu
Actually,
Shravana?
without hearing, we cannot chant.
Yeah.
Because what can we chant? What do we think about it? If we don't hear, how can I chant? I'll chant by watching cell phone. That means absorption is on the cell phone, not on the chanting. A lot of people, they open up cell phone and then they chant. They're thinking that the chanting is completed, easily completed. No, because it is easily completed because our absorption is not there. Because the mind wants to see cell phone. I'll give you an example. Because mind wants to see that. Mind is pacified with that. But it is not on the hearing process. You actually think, you actually see how much am I hearing, how much am I absorbed. Then we will realize that we are nowhere actually in absorption. We are nowhere in actually hearing. We're like shooting empty bullets. Empty bullet shooting is no value. That means really we do not have a taste. We need to accept that we do not have a taste. Then they will give us the taste. I remember my spiritual master, when I first came to him, he showed us how to get up in the morning. From 3 to 4, he was chanting in the morning with us. Morning 3 to 4. He told us to get up at 2:30, be ready, come to his home. We were sitting at 15, 20 devotees, 25, 30 devotees. We were all sitting next to him, and then he was chanting and he was showing us how to actually chant. Now, who will tell like that? Not just telling in the class, but actually showing practically. Who will tell like that? There should be a father only can tell like that. You'd have that kind of a father in yourself. Otherwise, the moment you hold the beads, you should remember those person who actually gave that. That is what gratitude is. Gratitude is not just, oh, Prabhu, thank you, yeah, but badhiya kiya, thank you. It's not like that. Gratitude is really, one should feel from the heart. Should get that feeling. Yes, he's my master. He's doing so much to him. I'm not doing anything to him. Let me do something to him. That is how bhakti grows. That is what one should aspire. One should pray. He continuously prays for all of us. Everyone should practice nicely. Indirectly also, he's praying for all of us. It's important because that's how those things will manifest. Otherwise, I'll tell, the consciousness, we cannot even think about any of these things. Forget about discussing this every day. It's a mercy, actually. Please understand. Discussing or hearing every day is a mercy for us. For example, if the consciousness is gone, what can we discuss? That means the consciousness, they are giving us that consciousness. When we understand that, we again give it back to them. Just like Prahlad Maharaj was giving back to the Lord. He did not do any big things. What he did is he turned himself completely to the Lord. Lord was pleased with that. He did not create this creation. He did not do that. Did he create the creation? He did not do that. Likewise, we don't have to do any of those things. We have to simply develop devotional service towards them. That is the purpose of this life. That is what we should aspire. That is the move. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Hare Krishna. I think I'll stop here. Thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada Maharaj ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Karina, for your service daily. Please come like this here every day. It will really help you.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Understand this. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Dhanyavad Pranam. Thank you for giving a wonderful lecture as well, Prabhuji. And thank you for giving a wonderful bhajan from Silas Prabhuji on our stipend.